For those of you who know me personally, you'll know that one of my idols, and in my opinion, one of the greatest men who has ever lived, was a man by the name of Malcolm X. And I've said this for a long time, but I don't think I've ever said it publicly, but I'm going to now. Because today is Martin Luther King Day, January the 21st, on a Monday in the United States, where Americans are celebrating the life and legacy and teachings of Dr. King. Now, I believe that at the very least, the United States and the world should not just celebrate the life and legacy of Dr. King. And I don't think there should just be a Martin Luther King Day. I think there should also be a Malcolm X Day. Now, in saying that, I don't wish to damper in any way the life and the legacy and the great teachings of Dr. King. I believe he was a great man. The reason why I say that I believe that a Malcolm X Day, especially for Black America, would be even more important in 2019, in this present year, than just a Martin Luther King Day is because the difference, one of the biggest differences between Martin Luther King and the great Malcolm X was that while Martin Luther King, for the most part, fought against the white establishment in the United States and the racist establishment and the racist order, Jim Crow in the United States, Malcolm X also fought against those things, but he also fought against the black establishment. And not only that, he even fought against the Nation of Islam establishment. And he was a member of the Nation of Islam. And what I'm trying to say is that Malcolm X was a true black independent. He even fought against liberals. What prominent black person, what effective black person in America do you know who's fighting against the liberal establishment right now? He said publicly that the only difference between the conservatives of the South and liberals is that liberals are much more sneaky. They'll pretend to be your friend and they'll have all these black tokens. They'll token you, but they'll stab you in the back. And he said that. And he was effective. But nowadays, we don't celebrate that. And I think that's more important for black people to celebrate that because I feel that the independence of the black man in America is pretty much dead. Now, it's being revived slowly, and I feel that my generation is much more independent than the baby boomer blacks, but there's still a lot of work to do. Now, let's start from the very beginning. Malcolm X became a member of the Nation of Islam when it was a common belief was that a black man was a Christian in the United States, and he fought against that order. He fought against that. He became a member of the Nation of Islam very early, and not only that, when he felt that the Nation of Islam was going in the wrong direction, he turned against them. He spoke out against them. He was still Islamic and all that stuff, but he said, look, y'all are going in the wrong direction. I'm going to talk about it. And the members of the Nation of Islam got angry with him. They first tried to threaten him and intimidate him into silence. And when that didn't work, guess what they did? They killed the man, killed him in Harlem in front of his family. Malcolm X, as I said, spoke out against the liberal establishment, warned black people not to get sucked into the liberal establishment. Don't just be hardcore. He wasn't a conservative. Malcolm X wasn't a conservative. He was an independent, like I'm an independent. I recently re-registered as a political independent. I'm proud of it. I don't regret one bit of it. A political independent. He fought against what he felt was wrong, and he stood for what he felt was right, no matter what people said about him and his skin color. And that's not to say that he didn't fight for black people, because he did. And in fact, most people would say that he was more radical than Martin Luther King in fighting for his fellow black man. And not just black people, poor people as well. And he fought to the point of going against the law, civil disobedience. I mean, the man was radical, and I say yay and amen to that. He was fighting for freedom. He was fighting for independence. He was fighting for justice, and he was fighting against all established orders. The black establishment, The Nation of Islam establishment, the liberal establishment, the white establishment, all of it. He fought against it, and he did a great job in that. And I feel that nowadays, black people in America should learn that, should understand that, and should be taught the truth as well, because the media has a way of twisting things. But that's what I feel that needs. That's the new fight of our time. Our independence. It's like you're black now. I mean, listen. I think in 2019 there would be some foo-foo jigaboo out there who would call Malcolm X an Uncle Tom or a sellout by speaking out against the liberals. That's exactly what they would say. I speak out against the liberals. I warn black people not to get sucked into the liberal plantation and make and be and have them believe that the liberals are your friends, these white liberals are your friends. I say the same thing. Many of these old uh, baby boomer blacks, they'll call me Uncle Tom, sellout, all these sort of stuff because I don't hold myself to the liberals. So you're a sellout. And they would say the same thing about Malcolm X. Exactly the same. Now, again, he wasn't a conservative. He wasn't like Ben Carson, where he was actually a conservative Republican who is fighting against the liberals and propping them. He was an independent. And that is a good thing. And I believe that's what's missing in the black community in America. Independence. Just because you're black doesn't mean you have to think a certain way and act a certain way and believe in certain things and do certain things. You're free just like everyone else. The white man, the Chinese man, the Indian man, the native man, the Muslim, everybody. You're free. You can think, you can believe whatever you want as long as you're fighting for freedom and justice for your fellow man. As long as you're doing that, you're free to believe in whatever you want to believe in, and you're free to do whatever you want. Just like Malcolm X when he stood against everyone, even his own people, the Nation of Islam, when they killed him, just like him. I believe that's something that black people need to start doing. And stop holding yourselves to liberals, white liberals. I mean, if you want to vote, I'm not saying you don't have to, you can't vote for who you feel is good for your, but the thing is that if you feel that somebody needs to be criticized, then feel free to do it because you're free. You're free. And that's what I mean, Dr. King in some ways fought for the same thing, but his mantra was racial integration. He wanted to stop the Jim Crow and all that stuff, which is admirable. I feel that's great. That's why he's celebrated. He should still be celebrated. I believe for the most part, the beliefs of Dr. King are accepted and celebrated for the most part by everyone. I mean, anybody who believes otherwise is pretty much condemned and scorned. So I believe that his mission, for the most part, is accomplished. But there's a whole different battle out there that we're forgetting about. And I believe Malcolm X would be the perfect mascot for that battle. Political independence, freedom, justice for all. This is the Arana Nation.